So how come my brand new 2021 Mercedes Sprinter van is up on ramps? There's nothing wrong with it. Let me show you what I'm doing today. Brand new. I got it a month ago. I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but this has taken a month. And I'm not even done yet. I'm about 3/4 of the way done. Come around back here. So I've got my strips laid in all the way in. I've got, first of all, the deep channels inside the bed. There's 1, 2, 3 that go the complete length, about 14 feet. This is a 170 inch, it's not the extended, but it's the 170 inch wheelbase Sprinter van. So these go the full length, about 14 feet or something like that. And then I laid them in all the way around the edge like this and glued them both sides around the wheel wells. And I'm using 1/2 inch insulation that I got from Lowe's. Basically, this is what it is. It looks like this. It was in the back corner of Lowe's. And I've got one extra sheet. I could take it back. It's about $15 a sheet. Or I could use it in the, well, that's almost a whole extra sheet. I would say get 3 sheets. You're going to need 3 sheets. And I'm going to try and use this one for in the ceiling and maybe on the walls, and kind of incorporate thinsulate with maybe even some reflectics. I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to use it on something, and I'm not going to leave it sitting here in my garage, and I'm certainly not going to pay to throw it away. So I will find a use for it. But 3 sheets for sure. I'm using tongue and groove plywood. A lot of people have talked about, on YouTube, a lot of people have said, their floors, I've seen people use biscuits to join the edges. I've seen people use routers to make a lap joint. I can tell you this plywood, it says right on it, is 24 inch on center tongue and groove. So this over to this over to that is 17 inches. So this is made for flooring. And your edges aren't gonna, they're not gonna wobble around or wafer or waffle or anything. Again, you can see I just laid, I glued all this stuff down. There's a couple different thicknesses. Some of it was 1/2 inch. Some of it was right about 1 inch. And all I can say is that depending on your van, depending on the thickness of insulation you use, and you're going to want to figure out that for yourself. These things work great to figure out the depth of something and the differences in depth, and you got to do your own. But by the way, I used Loctite PL Max Premium. I'd say get three tubes. I'm all done gluing, and I'd say I have a 1/2 tube left of this. So it's 2.5 tubes. So buy 3 tubes. Something else. Right inside the door, you've got these brackets here and braces for this pillar that ties it into the sub chassis down here. Notice my plywood is cut at a 45, and that's to avoid this right here. It's got a built-in radius on the bottom there, and if you cut your plywood flat, it's going to be riding down here. So if you just cut it at a 45, it'll work fine. And I can tell you what I used. I used my Jigsaw. Where did I put it? Here it is. I used my Jigsaw and put it at a 45-degree angle and just kind of trimmed along that 6-inch section of bracketry. And the same with over on that side, same thing. cut it out of 45. Something else. When I first started this, I was really scratching my head on how am I going to trim this out? How am I going to finish? How am I going to finish along the edges? And I spent a whole day drawing how I was going to do it out of some wood. I was going to take some 1 by 4 inch oak, 2 pieces. I was going to glue 2 pieces together and cut, you know, all kinds of angles to make it fit nice and neat along the back here. I'm not kidding you. It took me a whole day of scratching my head and drawing this and drawing that and come up with different ideas on how I was going to do it. I went in kind of depressed that night and watched some more videos, and I found a video about a company called Esplori, E-S-P-L-O-R-I, Esplori. And Esplori for $300. Some of you, and on a budget, I'd say don't do it. On a budget, I'd say don't do it. But if you got a little extra money, this is how they trimmed off the edges. It's powder coated. I'm not sure. I think it's aluminum. Pretty sure it's aluminum they use, so it's lightweight. But that's going to finish off nice when my plywood is in there. And it comes pre-drilled with holes, and it comes with a hardware package. And they even give you a patch for you patch collectors. Esplori. It's got all the hardware you're going to need. Stainless steel washers and nylock nuts. It's got these little plastic pieces here with directions. Now, that's not all. There's more. For $300, and this is what sold me, is I spent another 4 hours drawing out how I was going to make mine. And Esplori has got it all figured out. Esplori's got this, and you can see it's welded. And it's powder coated to match the trim nice. The other thing is, it's pre-drilled with these holes. You will have to drill holes here. 4 holes. And then you'll have to, you know, get underneath and have somebody hold a wrench while you tighten it down. But you see, these spacers are used to space this out. So you've got one thick thing on the chassis here, and then this one's thinner, and then it goes to nothing up here. And that's why I haven't finished cutting that. I wanted to figure out just exactly where to cut it before I finished. This is not screwed down yet. And by the way, when you go to the hardware store, make sure your plywood is flat. This one piece here is kind of bowed. Not that it's going to matter. I'm going to screw it all down, but you know, come on, that makes it kind of it's kind of a pain. And for $68 a sheet, it should be flat. So this is Esplori. It comes in 3 pieces, and so you don't have to sit around and figure out, you know, you don't have to be an engineer and figure out how to make this all work together. The one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to, until you get this Esplori, don't cut your plywood until you get this package, because with this package, then you can figure out just where to make your cuts on your plywood. For me, this piece of trim here comes around to here, and then it cuts back in underneath there. I don't know if you can see that or not. But anyway, that is even with your mat. So your mat goes across there, and if you leave a little gap there, this piece of trim will fit perfect right down inside there. It'll be a nice finish all the way over to the edge. So this, I would highly recommend this Esplori. It's a big time saver. If you buy this, then you won't have to worry about, you know, I'm not kidding. I wasted at least a day and a half trying to figure out how I was going to do that. And yeah, I could have done it. I could have just got some, you know, angle iron or some other kind of flooring trim and did it. But I'm real happy with the way this is going to work way better than what I could have done. I don't have that skill set, or I do, but it would have taken me a lot longer. And I don't want to spend that time. I'd rather spend the money at this point. I use Loctite PL Max 3 tubes. These are some of the tools I use. The smaller carpenter square. This is for gauging the depth on a lot of stuff. You can measure the depth on things. These were very handy for just kind of measuring and figuring out what I was going to do. Of course, get more than one sharp pencil, another square. A couple of these are nice. You're going to be using some tape, sandpaper to kind of finish off the edges. Tape measure. This is a scraper. Let me show you this. Right here, Sprinter does a really sloppy job of sealing this up before they paint it. And I took this, 3M scraper and just kind of scraped off the excess to give me a lot more smoother spot around the edges. And I'd recommend getting one of those. When you're cutting your insulation, get somebody to assist you. You're going to make your marks, but have somebody hold one end, because invariably one end is going to slip while you're cutting it, and then you're not going to get a good fit. Another good, get a 4-foot level is another good way to cut it. But the problem with the level is your knife kind of starts wandering off the edge. I like the way that the utility knife cuts on a nice thin, straight edge. I got 2 of them, and they both work depending on how long your line is. Longer lines, of course, you'll use this one. Shorter ones, this one. And even shorter yet, this one. I also use the full-size carpenter square. That one hanging in the corner there. That worked real nice. Like I said, a lot of people, they wind up cutting a lot, putting this wood in and taking it out. It's because of these right here. Just take that into account when you're making your template. By the way, let me show you my template. It's over 14 feet long. Here's the last piece of plywood I got. It's already. But my template goes from here. This is folded in half, by the way. It's taped together, but it's 14 feet long, and there's some more leftover insulation. 4 sheets of this tongue and groove, $68 a sheet. Certainly not cheap. Wish I could show you where it says it. Right on the back here. Let me show you this. Where did it say that? It's 3/4 inch, but it's actually 23/32. What I wanted to show you though was, where does it say that? Where does it say that? Anyway, this tongue and groove it's made for 24-inch centers. So from here to here in a Sprinter van, and these are the deep channels. There's three deep channels. 3 of them. That's 17 inches between the channels. So the tongue and groove is good for 24-inch spans, and it gives you a nice solid. Never mind the one that's bent there, but nice. It's not even screwed down yet, but that's nice and solid. Again, you're going to have to figure out the depth you're going to use for whatever thickness of insulation you use. My 1/2-inch insulation and 3/4 inch plywood, that totals 1 1/4 inches above the top surface of the floor. But see, these are glued down in the channels, and so you have to account for that. I believe these are 1 inch thick, and the ones over on the edges are 1/2 inch thick. But again, do your own math. You got to figure that out for yourself, because one thing I've noticed, all the videos, and I've watched literally probably 100 videos on YouTube, every single one everybody's done it different. There's no standard right way to do this. You have to figure out how you're going to do it on your own for the way, you know, I guess your level of quality, your expectation of quality. And I don't know, I've never been diagnosed, but I've got some kind of OCD, and it really affects the way I do things. Things tend to take me longer, and I wind up splitting hairs when I don't need to. But these are some of the things that I had to kind of wrap my head around before I made the cuts. And see, I might take this out, and I might cut that out. See, I made the mark, but I didn't cut it, and you can see where it's rubbing right there on the end. And that's sealant. That's the seal that Mercedes did a crappy job of leaving a mess there for us. And again, right there. So, you know, if you're a perfectionist, see the mark I made? I didn't cut it out yet. But anyway, I highly recommend the Esplory trim pieces. I highly recommend the tongue and groove. People can use lamb's wool or whatever it is they're using for their, you know, the insulation. I use this rigid, what do they call it? Rigid foam, rigid core foam insulation. It's got like a reflective finish. But anyway, it's hard when you got OCD because, you know, you got a brand new van that I paid. This one was 60 grand out the door with tax and license, prep and all that. $60,000 van with no holes, and all of a sudden you're gluing stuff down to it. And I was still looking at putting a hole in the roof for my vent and, you know, doing untold damage. Hopefully it's not damage. But anyhow, when I get this all together, I'll make another video. I've been working on my motorcycles, but then we got the van and we've been starting on this. So some of my other videos were about this thing. I haven't ridden it yet, but I did get a new tire put on it. It's still up on the jack. I took my other 650 and put it in the garden shed. But anyway, leave some comments on what, you know, on the way I did things. Again, I'm not a professional. But I always try to learn from professionals. I try to do it the right way. Some of it I probably spend too much time on, a lot of it. But I tend to get good results in the end. And so I hope you learned something. I hope I could teach you something. I'm just waiting for those comments to tell me how little I know and how stupid I am. Just believe me, I know. So anyway, thanks for watching, and please leave comments. Subscribe if you want. I mean, this is fun. I'm not doing it for a living. I'm doing it just to share. So, you know, have a good one. Thanks for watching.